You're welcome to the lesson, dear viewer. We are going to discuss primary 4 content. Today we are continuing with our workbooks and we are beginning from page 16. That page gives us a heading that is about the crimes which are committed by the people in our district. Remember, we are still looking at the people in our district. And as I have said, today we are looking at the crimes that the people commit. Now, we need to begin by defining a crime. On that page, we are given a crime as an illegal behavior. An illegal behavior. That is how we are going to define a crime. An illegal. What we call illegal means something which is not accepted in an area. Meaning if someone does it, then it means that person is going against what is needed or against the law. A crime is an illegal behavior which is punished. By the law. That is the definition of a crime. An illegal behavior which is punished by the law. Meaning that an action that when one takes, that person is supposed to be punished. Which means the person does what is not supposed to be done. We have the common causes of crimes. Before we look at the crimes, we have what makes people to sin, and those are the things we are going to look at as causes of crimes. Causes of crimes. Now, what makes people to sin or to commit crimes? The first one, we are having what we call bad peer. Oh, these are the ones we call bad groups. You will find that people getting involved, like even if one was good and a person joins a bad group, that person can also end up sinning. Then we have what we call drug abuse. Drug abuse. And we have ignorance about the law. People do not know that what they are doing is not or is punishable by the law. Ignorance about the law. We have ignorance about the law. And then we have uncontrolled anger. Uncontrolled anger. That is someone failing to control his or her temper, his or her anger. And at the end of it all, you go beyond because you're angry. You do something out of anger. And at the end of it all, you will realize that you will have done a crime or you will have harmed someone, and that will be a crime already. And then we have greed for riches. That is the desire to become rich. Greed for riches. This is what happens to people we call ritualists. You find that since someone wants money, someone wants wealth, someone wants to be rich, the person will end up going an extra mile as far as even sacrificing others. Of course, that will be a crime. You are now committing murder. You are now killing somebody because you have that greed to become, or you have that greed for riches. You have that urge to become rich. That is another cause. Then we have cultural practices that some people perform. Cultural practices. also comes in as another cause of crimes. So those are the things that make people to commit crimes, to sin. We are going to look at some of the common sins or common crimes that people face. Of course, one we have on that page, we have fighting, we have kidnapping, murder, stealing, abusing, we have human sacrifice, like we have already talked about those people who are greedy for riches. At the end of it all, they go ahead to sacrifice somebody. So those ones are that is now the sin that comes in, and we are looking at it as a crime. So that is sacrificing. Those are the examples of sins that people commit in our district. We are going to page 17, which gives us the problems facing the Uganda police. Of course, these crimes, we attach them to the Uganda police that we started looking at in the previous lesson. I hope you watched that, because it's what will make you to understand this lesson well. We have problems like corruption among the police force. We have shortage of police equipment, like the weapons that they are to use for defense and for enforcing law and order. Remember, in the previous lesson, we understood that the main duty performed by the Uganda police force is to keep law and order, and we understood how. And then we also have poor attitude towards, poor attitude of the public towards the police. You find that sometimes the relationship between the people and the police is not always good. It's not well developed. You find there is some hatred of some people towards the police. Of course, we understood in the previous lesson that for the police to be effective in their work, they need to have a close relationship with the people. They need to work together with the people, because sometimes they may not understand what is taking place in the communities. It is the people to report now the cases to the police. That's when they can get to know the problems which are in the communities. So sometimes you find that people do not want to interact, they don't want to work together with the police, and it becomes a problem to the police force. And then we also have shortage of communication equipment, facilities, like the ones that they can use in order to get connected, or the ones they can use to communicate, to coordinate with each other. That also brings a problem to the police. Then we also have poor accommodation facilities provided to the police at a certain level, can also come as another problem. We have the roles of the ordinary people in keeping law and order. What we mean by the ordinary people, we are meaning we, the people who are not the police. What are we supposed to do? We are now looking at the people in the communities. What are these people supposed to do in order for them also to help the police in keeping law and order? Remember, the work of keeping law and order is not only supposed to be by the police, but even us, the ordinary people. So what are we supposed to do? Number one, we are having a sentence which says that we are supposed to report these criminal acts to the police. Like if there is like a group of some thugs in the community that are disturbing people at night, stealing people, things, whatever, and such people are maybe identified, you'll find that it is our work to report such groups to the police. Then if there is also any other crime that can occur or that can be in a community, we are supposed to report it to the police. Secondly, the people are supposed to arrest suspects in case of any found. We are supposed to arrest suspects and hand them over to the police. We are not yet given that opportunity to kill or to punish them, but our work is we are supposed to arrest, the people are supposed to arrest the person and then hand the person over to the police. So if you are asked such a question as a P4 child, that how can a P4 child help the police in keeping law and order, those are the answers you're supposed to be writing you're supposed to report criminal cases in the communities to the police. 2, you're supposed to arrest, that is if you can. But now for your case, you will find that you might not be able to arrest because the person can be bigger than you or stronger than you. So what are you supposed to do? There now you can maybe make an alarm, like you have caught someone red-handed, maybe in the act, maybe stealing someone's property. You can make an alarm and people can gather to help and will arrest that suspect, and the person will be given to the police. That is what we are supposed to be doing. Then the other one is we are supposed to not to get involved in the criminal acts as citizens. We are to make sure we don't get involved in these crimes. Of course, there we shall have helped the police to lessen their work, to make their work easy. We don't do these crimes. So that is another way. And then lastly, we have giving evidence to the suspects during courts of law or in courts of law. Sometimes you'll find that if you really saw the person, you're supposed to stand and give an evidence in courts of law. You say, I really saw this person, it was him who did this and that. There you will have helped the police to get the grounds on which this person is to be judged. We have after that an activity which is on page 17, and like I've always told you, an activity is supposed to be written when you are serious and you use a very good handwriting. Please try to concentrate when you are doing this work. We are going to look at page 18. Our page 18 gives us a heading that is how the police fulfills its duties. Now, these ones we had already talked about them as on the other side of how the police keeps law and order, ways through which the police enforces law and order. We talked of arresting suspects. We talked of patrolling at night. We talked of stopping fire outbreaks. We talked of dispersing rioters, that is stopping riots. We talked of controlling the flow of traffic on busy roads and other. So those are the very answers that we have on that page 18. And then, of course, we have also the responsibilities of people in the community, that is in keeping law and order. What are we supposed to do? And that is exactly what we are finished to discuss. We are supposed to report criminal cases to the police. We are supposed to be obeying the law. That is what we say, that we are not supposed again to get involved in these criminal acts. And then we are supposed to arrest and hand over the suspect to the police. And then also we have others like getting involved in productive work. We have performing the government programs as expected, and we have helping others, that is helping one another in the community. For example, we can have those who are needed, those who need our help. They are vulnerable. Like we shall have the sick, we shall have those who are elderly, we shall have those who are the blind, the lame, those disabled, all of them. We are supposed to make sure we help them. Apart from the police, we also need to note that we have other security organs. Security organs. These security organs, we call them armed forces. Now, this is found on that page 19. Other security organs, of course, when we say other security organs, it means that there is one already we have talked about. Now we are going to look at others. For example, based on this very content we are discussing, the one we have been talking about is the Uganda Police Force. Now we are going to mention other security organs, and we shall be talking some details about them. The first one, we have what we call UPDF. UPF. That is the short form for U is Uganda. Then we have peoples with apostrophe here. Uganda peoples, meaning it is for the people of Uganda. Uganda People's Defense Forces, not force, forces. So remember we have said these ones are armed forces. Now armed forces, we mean armed means some people who have the guns. Maybe we can simplify it like that. People who keep security and they have the gun, they are armed. Someone who is armed means the person is having the weapon for security, for protection. Can be a baton, can be a grenade, can be a gun, can be any other bow and arrow. All that is being armed. So we are having the Uganda People's Defense Forces, and what we need to note is this is the name which is given the National Army for Uganda. It is the name of the army for Uganda, and remember, this army is responsible for protecting the citizens in the country against external attacks. Then we have also what we call the Uganda Prisons Force, UPF. Just like we had it on Uganda Police Force, we shall have it as Uganda Prisons Force. Prisons Force. That is the second security organ that we have. And then the other one we have already, we have talked about the Uganda Police Force, so we shall not bring it here because we are saying other security organs. We have already talked about the Uganda Police Force. We are now going to what we call private security guards. Private security guards. The private security guards, these are the private companies that also help in keeping security in our areas. They are locally, these people are locally called the askaris. I know that's how you call them. You might be having one at home. Those officers fall under what we call private security guards. They are private owned. Then we have what we call the local defense units, LDUs. You must have heard us talking about LDUs. LDUs stands for local defense. This S is here, meaning it is in plural form. If it was not there, we would have it as, if it was LDU, we would have it as local defense unit. Now there is S, we are going to add it in plural to make it plural. So that is what we call the local defense units. So we are going to be looking at this one by one, and on page I have already summarized about the Uganda National Army. That is the one we call the Uganda People's Defense Forces. Let's talk about the Uganda prisons, which is on page 20. Now what happens here is we are having the duties of the Uganda prisons. Remember, the Uganda prisons is headed by the Commissioner General of Prisons, and it also belongs to the Ministry of Internal Affairs, just as the Uganda Police Force. The duties, of course, we are looking at, these are people who are in charge keeping the prisoners. When someone is arrested, when a suspect is arrested, we say the suspect will be taken to the courts of law, where he will be judged either guilty or innocent. If this person is found guilty, then this person will be given a sentence. The sentence, that is the period that the person is supposed to stay in jail or in prison. That is what we call a sentence. So if the sentence is maybe 2 years imprisonment, then you will find that this person is going to serve that sentence while in prison. Of course, we have very many prisons in our country, with the biggest, that is Luzira, which is near our school, remember. So you will find that as these people are serving their sentences there, they are always trained. You will find we shall be asking you a question: how important is the Uganda prisons? The Uganda prisons, or the prisons force, is to transform. That's the word we are going to be adopting. The prisons transform. Transform is like to say to change people. Of course, the people we are looking at are those criminals. So the Uganda prisons helps to transform criminals into law-abiding citizens. They transform criminals into law-abiding citizens, which means they change. Like I've said, transform means to change. The prisons help to change these criminals into law-abiding citizens. Law-abiding citizens, we mean people who will be now observing and respecting the laws, not again breaking them. So when these people are in jail, when they are serving their sentences in prison, you will find that they are given a number of things to do, such that they change their mindset, such that when they get out of that prison, they will not again go and think again of doing what they did. Of course, that is now what we call changing them or transforming them. It's like when you also maybe do crime at school, you will find that you will be taken to the teachers and they will you will be given a punishment. You'll find after that punishment, you'll say, teacher, I will not do it again. So you will learn from that mistake. So that is what happens here. We shall also be able to look at how are these people helped. You will find that when these people are in prison, they are always given other skills. For example, if someone was taken to prison because of stealing, which means this person went to steal because he did not have the money. So what happens is, when these people are in prison, they are always taught skills that they can use. They can use their energy, their hands, their brains, and they can be able to raise money. How? They teach them skills like carpentry, skills like knitting, that is making these baskets, mats, whatever, very many things. They are taught like things like tailoring, they are taught building, that is bricklaying, and any other short courses that these people are given. So you'll find that by the time these people get out of these prisons, they will be having those skills in them that they can go back to their communities and they start up new lives and they begin earning other than again planning to go and steal. So that is the work of the prisons, to transform. As they transform, of course, we need to know that they keep these prisoners under safe custody. They keep them and they will be working with them. So we are saying the duties of the Uganda prisons, we are having to look after the prisoners. Of course, the prisoners, those are the people who are serving their sentences in those prisons. And then to take suspects to courts of law for trial in case they have not been given their sentences. They always have those people taken. We are having a question which is coming to ask us: how is the Uganda police helping the Uganda prisons? So we shall be able to get that when the police arrest these people. Of course, we have the police arresting, and then after arresting, the police will hand them over to the prisons. So that is how the police helps the Uganda prisons, by arresting suspects and handing them over to them. We also have these prisons keeping law and order, keeping law breakers in their safe custody, as we have talked about. And then we have also said they teach them vocational skills, like we have carpentry, weaving, brick making, we have also knitting, weaving, it's already talked about here, and any other skill that will require them to use their hands and their brains, and they are able to make the money. So all those are the ways through the prisons help these prisoners. Then we went to the private security guards. We talked about this. We say these are the ones that provide, we have different private companies providing this. We find there is a KK, we have Eagle, and very many others. We are going to look at page 21. Page 21 takes us to another type of leaders. Remember, we are still looking at the leaders in our district. This we have been talking about have been under civic leaders. Of course, civic leaders, to remind you, came after political leaders that we say they go to power through elections. Now we were talking about these civic leaders, and now we want to go and we look at another type of leaders. That is now the third type. We have them as religious leaders. So we are going to have religious leaders as it is on that page 21. Now, who are these religious leaders? The religious leaders, we are looking at the ones who guide people, who preach the word of God, in other words, to people. They guide and counsel people, but their main duty is to preach the word of God. We are going to look at these leaders in two sides. One we shall have on the side of Christianity, then we shall also cross to the side of Islam, that is, to the side of the Muslims. Those are the religious leaders that we are having. Before we look at the examples, now we want to first of all look at what these people do. One, we are saying these people guide and counsel people. That is the first one we have on our page. And then we also have these people preaching the word of God, or Allah, to so we are looking at religious leaders, and we say we have the duties of religious leaders. The first we saw it is that these religious leaders preach the word of God, or Allah. Then number two, they also help to guide and counsel people. Sometimes you'll find that there can be a misunderstanding that can come out between or among the members of the church. So these people are settled down and they are helped by these religious leaders. And then also these people are responsible for performing some of the sacraments in the church. For example, baptism, confirmation, Holy Eucharist, or communion, or Holy Communion. These are the sacraments that they can be doing in the church. And then also praying for people. We have people with different problems. We have those who are sick. We have those who are maybe who are traveling, or those who have died. All sorts of people. They pray for people. And then they are also supposed to build hope and confidence in Christians, in believers, not only in Christianity, but I was saying even on the side of the Muslims, because with these religious leaders, we are looking at both on the side of Christianity and on the other side of the Islam side. We have also the last one, that is setting up developmental projects for their churches, for their believers, for their mosques. That is another one that we have. Of course, that makes us to understand we have the religions in Uganda. we have Christianity, and under Christianity we shall have very many other religious sects. We have the religious sects, meaning those are the sub-religions in that religion. For example, in Christianity, we have the Anglicans, who are Christians. We have the Catholics, they are also Christians. We have the Seventh-day Adventists, they are also Christians. We have the Orthodox, they are also Christians. Then we have those who are called Pentecostals. You can call them born-agains. We call them Pentecostals. They are also in that side, or on that side of Christianity. Then we have the Islam as a religion. We have also the Juma. In that group of Islam, we have the Ahmadiyya, and then we have the Tablighs. Those are the Islam sects or denominations. And then we have the Baha'i. We have also what we call Buddhism. We are now going to look at the examples of religious leaders that we have. Of course, like I say, we shall be having both on the side of Christianity and then on the side of Islam. Now, if we are to write the religious leaders on the side of Christianity, you will find that we shall have leaders like the Reverend or priest. We shall have the lay reader. We shall have the bishop. Falls here. We shall have the archbishop. We shall have the deacon. We shall have the archdeacon. We have the dean. We shall also have the pastor. We have the pastors here. We have the father. We shall have the catechist. We have the cardinal, that is the head of the Catholics in Uganda, given the title cardinal. Then we have the Pope, who heads all the Catholics in the world. Then, if we are to cross to the other side of Islam, we have the Muezzin, we have the Imam, we have the Sheikh, we shall have the district Qadi, that is the head of Muslims in the district Qadi. We shall have the Mufti, who is the head of the Muslims in Uganda, given the title Mufti. So that is, those are the religious leaders that we are going to be looking at. We have the Archbishop, that is the head of the Anglicans in Uganda, given the title Archbishop. We have the Cardinal, head of Catholics in Uganda, that is the title. And then for the Muslims, the title is Mufti. That is the one heading all the Muslims in the country, that is in Uganda. So all those ones are there as our religious leaders that we have in our district. Remember, we have talked of the district Qadi, and we have said this is the one heading Muslims at the district level. Next we have the note on page 22, which tells us that Islam was the first foreign religion to be introduced into Uganda. When we come to P5, we shall be looking at the groups of foreigners, meaning people who are not in Uganda, but they came from other continents, other countries to Uganda. And we shall be looking at the people who are called the Arabs. And when we look at that part, when we reach there, we shall understand that the Arabs introduced, they had come from Saudi Arabia, that is in a continent called Asia. So when these people came to Uganda, of course, they introduced that religion of theirs called Islam, and it became the first religion before Christianity was introduced. So that is what we mean by that. And then we have these two bodies. One, we have the Uganda Muslim Supreme Council, that is the Uganda Muslim Supreme Council, that is the body that unites all Muslims, or that brings together all Muslims. We looked at the subgroups of Muslims we have. We talked of the Ahmadiyya, we talked of the Tablighs, we talked of the Juma Muslims. All those Muslims come together under that umbrella, or under that body that we call the Uganda Muslim Supreme Council. And then we also have what we call the Uganda Joint Christian Council. This is now the one for Christians, just like the way it sounds. Uganda Joint Christian Council, meaning this is the one which joins, which brings together, which unites all Christians in Uganda. The other one was the Uganda Muslim Supreme Council. This is the one which brings together, or which unites all Muslims in Uganda. Now, how are religious leaders important? We have already talked about them. We have said they can preach the word of God or Allah, depending on the side. We talk of God on the side of Christianity. We talk of Allah on the side of Islam. These people can preach the word of God. They help to settle disputes among people. They bring out developmental projects to their believers, and then they maintain peace and cooperation among people. Then we also talked about them helping people to build faith, or to have that courage, that hope towards God or Allah. And at the end of it all, Christians will now get closer to God through them. We have religious places or religious leaders helping in very many ways. They have promoted, some of these churches have started schools, not only churches but even mosques. You find these religious places have started schools, some have started, others have orphanages where children can be helped. That is for those ones who lost parents, the orphans. Find some of these churches have done that. And then others have constructed water sources, like you find when you go to a church or a mosque, there is maybe a borehole, of which borehole everyone in the community can benefit from it. Everyone can get the water from it. So that is another advantage of these religious places, whether churches or mosques. And of course, some of them have also opened up hospitals that can provide that can provide health services. Then others have opened up banks also, like we are having the Centenary Bank. Then we have another type of leaders, that is, we are going to page 23. This has been about religious leaders. We are now going to look at what we call voluntary leaders. So voluntary leaders, just like we get the word voluntary. Voluntary deals with providing a service which is unpaid for, a free service, and this one is upon one's will. To volunteer means like when you are in class and all of a sudden you say, like maybe the teacher is saying, who is going to sweep our classroom? And you say, for me, I am going to do it. You choose to do something on your own, out of your own will. No one is asking you, no one is forcing you, and you don't expect any payment. You don't expect to be paid for that work that you have volunteered to do. That's why we are saying that voluntary leaders are leaders who provide free services to people. These are leaders. These are leaders who provide free services to people. Sometimes we can say these are leaders who provide unpaid services. Of course, unpaid means you don't pay. Unpaid, that services is not paid for, that they are providing you. Those are the people we call voluntary leaders. And these very people, or this person who does that job for you and is not expecting a payment, is the person that we call a volunteer. Volunteer. You need to be very careful with the spelling. Volunteer. T-E-E-R. So a volunteer is that person who provides a free service to others. That is the meaning of a volunteer. Of course, what we also going to look at is that these volunteers or these people sometimes work with organizations, or they work as a group. Therefore, when they come like that, we can now have them as voluntary organizations. Now, what do we mean by voluntary organizations? I have said these people now come as a group. They now join, they make a group, and they now provide the service as a group. Now, a voluntary organization is a group of people who provide, this is, if you are looking at one, a voluntary organization. Let us write it. A voluntary organization is a group of people who provide free services. We have called these free services unpaid services. So we can say a group of people who provide free or unpaid. You choose one word which will be simpler for you. Unpaid services to others. That is the English that we can use. A voluntary organization is a group of people who provide free or unpaid services to others. Meaning these are people who do work for others or to others for free without expecting any pay. Now we are going to look at the examples of these voluntary organizations. Before I mention anything here, I want you to know that there are most of these voluntary organizations have got a particular group of people that they are aiming at helping. For example, the first group that we are having there, if we have to talk about the examples of voluntary organizations. Examples of voluntary organizations. So we are having the first one, that is UWESO. It might sound new to your ears, this abbreviation, but we are going to understand it. This stands for, the U is Uganda, W is women's, the plural of woman, women, then there is an apostrophe S. Uganda women's, meaning it is for the Ugandan women. Uganda women's effort. 2, we have S, that is save, then the O is orphans. So we are having this as Uganda women's effort to save orphans. Uganda women's effort to save orphans, which means, like I say, that these organizations have got particular groups of people that they are aiming at helping. Now, if we are to identify here, now which group of people is this organization helping? Uganda women's effort, meaning the effort of the Ugandan women to save the what? The orphans, which means this voluntary organization helps the orphans. Who are the orphans? We say these are children who lost their father, their parents, father, mother, can be one or both, total orphans. That is, as long as we have that person losing a parent, that child is called an orphan. So we have the Uganda women's effort to save orphans that comes in to help such children, such that they also get what other children who have parents are supposed to get. Number 2, we are going to have what we call tussle. We are going to have what we call tussle. Now, what is tussle? It is also the short form of the AIDS. That is T. The A is AIDS. And I have written it in capital letters because it is the disease, AIDS disease. If you ever heard about HIV AIDS, that is now the disease we are talking about here. The AIDS, this is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. This is the full form of this AIDS. So we have the AIDS, then the S is support, and then O is organization. So we are having tussle as the AIDS support organization. But you must write this AIDS with in capital letters, because it is an abbreviation for the name of a disease. That's why you even have on your page 23 that AIDS is written in capital letters. If you write it in small letters, if you write that AIDS like this, the teacher will cross you. Teacher will circle here. This is a different thing. This one is, this AIDS means help. The assistance given to someone. Whereas this one with capital letters means now that acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, which is a disease. So that is the difference, and that is what we need to note when we are writing about that. The next is we have what we call the Red Cross, which in Uganda we call it the Uganda Red Cross Society. Or sometimes we only have it as Uganda Red Cross, and it ends there. So this one is very simple. Uganda Red Cross. If it is URC, if there is S, you now add society. Uganda Red Cross Society. Now, one thing we have not understood here is which group of people are helped by TASO. As we read it, the AIDS Support Organization, which means this organization helps people or supports people who are suffering from HIV/AIDS. That is the group of people. Coming to the Uganda Red Cross, the Uganda Red Cross helps a variety of people. One, it helps people who are affected by war. We call them war victims. War victims. You will find you find the workers wearing those aprons with the symbol of a cross, which is red in color. Big cross, put red. That is the symbol of that Red Cross. And then also another group is we have the people who get involved in accidents. We call them accident victims. Accident victims. And then we also have sometimes people affected by natural disasters. People affected by disasters. They can also go and help them affected by natural disasters. Now, what do we mean by natural disasters? The natural disasters, these are the natural occurrences or natural happenings that can lead to destruction of life and property. For example, we have landslides. Landslides. You will find when landslides occur, people are killed, people are buried, property is destroyed. So the Red Cross people can run and help those people, and they give them some other aid, some aid. Of course, that aid, I say, it means help. And then the other group that these people help can be the group we call the group of refugees. They can also help those people by giving them some aid or some assistance. I want you to understand the meaning of this word. Aid. That is assistance or some help given to someone for him to get helped. So the next is we are going to first of all understand how are these people helped. We have talked about the Uganda Red Cross Society. How does the Uganda Red Cross help people who are or who need help? We have looked at people, the war victims. Now, how are they helped? Now, these war victims, we mean people who are affected by war. Like if there is a war in an area, the rebels are fighting with the soldiers, with the army. So you'll find that some people will have to be injured in that war. So you'll find these people help those who are wounded, like to give them some first aid, that is treating them. And also we have said that in the event of a war, when a war happens, there are people who will be running away. They are the ones who don't fight now, the civilians, the ones who are not armed. So those ones will be running away to other areas and they become refugees in those areas. So these very people can help them by supplying them with some help, like giving them some items like cooking oil, some clothes for them to put on, beddings, like bed sheets, blankets, like that. That is how they can also help those people. And then we have people affected by natural disasters. They can help to relocate them and also giving them the same help, giving them some foodstuffs so that they can be able to have what to eat. Remember, these people are now in an area which is not theirs. Let's continue. We have what we call the Adventist Development Relief Agency, ADRA. Adventist Development Relief Agency. Now, this is the one that is for Seventh-day Adventists, which helps setting up schools, educating some children, that is paying school fees for some children. That is what it does. And then we have Compassion International. We are now looking at others. We have Islamic Relief Agency, and then we have Carry American Relief Everywhere. That is the one we are writing as CARE, Carry American Relief Everywhere. We have Islamic Development Agency, Relief Agency rather, and then we have also Scouts and Girl Guides. Scouts and Girl Guides. So you will find that maybe at your school you're a scout or you're a Girl Guide, and what happens is you're supposed to provide a free service to your fellow friends. Like in case of any other person in the school who needs help, maybe someone collapses, faints, whatever, you have to help the person carry the sick bay, help the person give some first aid. That is, of course, you are doing that for free. That is what we call providing a free service. Of course, we need to note that these voluntary organizations we have talked about, we can also call them non-governmental organizations, that is NGOs. Or sometimes we call them unpaid organizations because they provide services which are not paid for. So that is what we have about that. On page 24, 25, we are given the roles played by each, which we have already talked about. We have talked about TASO, caring for the sick people, that is the AIDS, those are the AIDS victims, AIDS patients, and how does it care for them? 1, by providing guidance and counseling services to them. 2, by giving them treatment medication, that is the ARVs, we have the antiretrovirals. Those are the drugs that these people take, such that they keep on pushing life. And then we also have them providing basic needs to these other people, like they can provide them with clothes, like beddings. We have foodstuffs they can also give to these people, such that they are able to live a better life and a prolonged life. Then we have World Vision International. World Vision International. You can add it here. World Vision International. World Vision International provides or builds schools for the children, of course, to go and study. They also provide medical care and some care to those who are in need. Those are the needy. And also they promote on the welfare of the peasants, and then providing scholastic materials to some schools to fund them, such that those schools have enough scholastic materials for the children to learn. And then we have the Uganda Red Cross. We have already talked about this. It provides food to the war victims, provides medicine to the prisoners, and then those are the prisoners of war. It caters for the wounded people in the war. I talked about that, giving them first aid. And then it also provides that one's already talked about to those who are injured. We have the ADRA, Seventh-day Adventists. We have Adventist Development Relief Agency that we said it builds schools, it builds also medical centers, provides safe water for the people, and then it caters for the people affected by natural disasters. The natural disasters we have talked about here, we have landslides. We can also have others like floods. All those are natural disasters. We have others like earthquakes. also a natural disaster. And then we have Islamic Relief Agency, the same, building schools. Of course, those are the Islamic schools that the Muslim children attend to or learn from. We have also providing safe water to the people, and then carry American Relief Everywhere, providing food, medical care, clothes, and shelter to the people who are affected by war. That is what we call war-torn areas, meaning those are areas which are having serious insecurity. They can also build some temporary houses for them, like the tents, where those people can first of all stay as their homeland, as their home areas are getting, again, peace. Those are the people we call the refugees. A person who runs away from his or her country because of the unbearable conditions in his or her place. Then we have USO, that we made our first one. We say this is the one that is responsible for the orphans. It provides orphans with free education. They can build those homes that we call orphanages, where these children can be gathered together and they are raised up as brothers and sisters, because they did not have families, so they make that one their family. And you find those children growing up and they're educated, they become big people in communities. That is the work of USO. And not only educating, but of course when they are taking care of them, it means they are taking care of everything like medication, buying for them clothes, everything is on them. So that is about those culture, those non-governmental organizations that we have called voluntary organizations. The last group we are going to be looking at here is the last type of leaders we have in our district, and that is found on page 26. We are going to call them cultural leaders. The other ones were number 5. We are having cultural. When we were introducing this, we were listing this. We had the first one the first type was political leaders. We went to civic leaders. We went to from civic leaders, we went to religious leaders, and from religious leaders, political leaders, civic leaders, we went to religious leaders. We are now finishing voluntary leaders. Now we are going to the 5th type. This is number 5, and we are calling these cultural leaders. Now these leaders, we can also call them traditional leaders. Now, these are leaders who go to power through inheritance. These are leaders who go to power through inheritance. Now, what do we mean by inheritance? Inheritance comes from the word inherit, which means to take over from your relative, from your close relative. For example, you will find that someone was a king. Of course, you are going to look at the examples of those leaders. Here we are going to look at traditional leaders like kings, chiefs, and then we have clan leaders that we can also call clan heads. Now, these people go to power through inheriting the throne. Like when you talk about the king, you'll find kingship is all about succession. If one has been a king, he dies, you'll find they will put his son to become the next king. The son inherits his father's throne. So that is what we call inheritance. We have the examples of cultural institutions which are headed by these cultural leaders. Those are examples of places which are headed by these people. Of course, we have a chiefdom, we have a kingdom, we shall have a clan. Now, what is a chiefdom? What is a kingdom? What is a clan? A chiefdom, we simply say, is an area headed by a chief. Coming to a kingdom, it's an area headed by a king. And then we also have what we call emperors. We needed to add here. Emperors are people. These are the people who are heading an emperor. An empire. That is the minimum. That is the person heading an empire. Is called an emperor. So these are also this is another example of the traditional leaders. Now, an empire is a large area which is headed by an emperor. As simple as that. And then when it comes to a clan, of course we say a clan is a group of people living together in an area, having the same forefathers or having the same ancestors. That is even what we talked about in primary 3. Now we have the symbols of the clan. We have the clan totem, which is a special object which is much respected by the people, by the members of that clan. That's what they call the clan totem. And then we have the clan symbols, which are used in identifying the clan. And then the drumming. So those are those are the symbols of a clan. We are going to look at the general duties of the clan leaders on page 27. What are clan leaders supposed to do? Just like other leaders, one, they are supposed to settle issues that arise between or among people. That is, to solve disputes, to solve cases among people. Then two, the clan leaders are supposed to supervise the clan activities. And they are also supposed to make sure they keep the clan property safe. That is, to ensure peace and security in the clan. This can be done by appointing people who work in that section. And then organizing cultural ceremonies and chairing them. You find that the clan leader is responsible for that. And then also registering people in that clan. This is another role played by the clan leader. And then to allocate land and other property to the people in the clan. That is done by that person that we call the clan leader who heads a clan. We can call that person a clan leader or a clan head, both correct. So that is about our page 27, and from that we shall be having that exercise that you are going to be doing. Remember, you always do that work when you are serious and produce it neatly. Use a good handwriting so that your book is nice for marking by the teacher. So for now, dear primary 4 viewer, that is where we can end in this lesson. And when we meet again, we shall be continuing from page 28. May God continue blessing you. See you again another time. Goodbye.